nature of us, nature of the universe. Hello everyone, this is your host Neeti Sinha. We are only into the second video of this channel. Briefly to recap, in this channel we will look into solid indicators from the sciences to see the picture of reality. But we will not ignore the angle of what we see, perceive, and cognize. And my hope is that just by doing so, we will have corrected the perspective in scientific views as well. That we will be able to envision a landscape in which disparate empirical observations do not contradict but complement each other. For instance, Einstein's theories of special and general relativity, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, Schrodinger's wave mechanics. They are all rock solid indicators of how universe works and continues. But in our understanding, when we try to see a structure of one, say gravity, that is general relativity, we cannot envision the rendering of another, say quantum probabilities, on the same footing. Or we can't see them both in the same sketch. They both are facts of nature. Decades of experimental validations have shown so. And I am sure a lot of us at this point would be rolling their eyes, probably compelled to say that this is the most confounding and most commonly stated perplexities of the modern physics. And that is true. Another confounding problem could be scientifically or beyond how we ourselves fit and continue in the same framework. Again, how we fit and continue by the framework of scientific picture is one of the biggest mysteries in the understanding of nature. But it is these very questions, the big ones, that can act as guiding principles towards showing us the all-encompassing picture of the universe. And we will dive into all of these. But the point of our effort here is by no means making the whole scenario simplistic. Our effort here is to be at a right vantage point, irrespective to whether the glancing window itself is higher or lower in the order of complexity. So in this video series, I intend to reach out to academicians, scholars, scientists, and science-savvy audience who venture into understand how universe manifests and evolve. And I hope I will be able to reach out to audience who can join me in this collaborative journey, especially those who go deep into figuring the nature of truth and do not want to shy away from scientific and mathematical vernacular. But we must not get ahead of ourselves, because I think many of us would be wondering at this point what gives me a unique position to talk on our ultimate nature, on current scientific bottlenecks and their possible results. And the answer to this is a simple one and a complex one. The simple one is my unabated desire to understand the workings of the universe and nature in broadest possible terms. This, in a nutshell, means equating varied scientific information on the same footing, one, and then summing that up with how we exist and continue. Which means my time is spent on understanding where the current observations in physical sciences are leading us to, and where and how we are experiencing the bottlenecks, and in all of it seeing ways toward processing the pieces into a coherent whole. And as I have indicated earlier, apart from teaching and research in the fields of foundational sciences, I have dwelled into seeing the ways of how disparate empirical observations align with each other in a way that makes sense to us. The complex answer involves realer makeup, our realer makeup, our internal makeup that is realer to all of us. Whether we realize it or not, whether we have paid attention to that fact or not. From here emerges our perceptions, interests, and the questions we ask. We pursue what interests us, be it physics, mathematics, literature, or the essence of an artistic creation. But the thing that gives a telling is cognizance, the assimilation of external translated into a narrative in which our inner selves play a major role. We all have our own internal set of questions we ask, and we might even have different routes we incline to take to get to the answers. Complex, isn't it? It's so complex that we can't even pin it down fully. It's so complex that we can almost perceive it, just not be able to explain it. So, as I had indicated earlier, the theme of this channel is something that is truly natural to me. It emerges from the amalgamation of external and the internal. So I had indicated in the last video that a few years ago I wrote a book titled Physical Laws of Mathematical Universe. Who are we? Why? Why did I write this book? To narrate that the language of science and the dialect of perception cognition is the very same thing. In here, I went on describing classical physics to the depths of quantum mechanics, covering the notion of multi-world and some of the current models in theoretical physics. At times, rigorously taking into account mathematical rendering toward highlighting the accuracy of mathematical vernacular. And as you could see that this book was written to describe an all-encompassing picture of reality, but the crux of the message, that the correct perspective is critical in unifying the principles of reality with our own makeup, got lost into details. And although the context of observer is profusely mentioned over many chapters in the book, I did not make it a hammering point that it is in this taking into account the correct vantage point of the observer that we are able to see a resolved picture, scientifically or beyond. The message remained lost into details, which itself I had realized it much later. So here we are, and there is one more thing that I want to bring up. I think it is important that in all its complexity, I think many of us would be wondering at this point that this very theme evidently broaches the subject of consciousness. Not so. Consciousness indeed is a very complex topic, has its own wide niche, and there is currently tons of research and understanding being undertaken by best of scientists, falling in the premise of neurophysiology or neuroscience. It is ultimately an endeavor in biological sciences. And here we are trying to capture the picture of reality from the window of physical sciences and adding a perspective toward seeing a resolved picture. So I hope that we are ready to start our journey. And as we finish today, I will read the first few lines from the book that I wrote. And thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Physical laws of mathematical universe. Who are we? The conversation presented here is an offshoot of a stubborn yet pleasurable pursuit. the maneuvering through which this communication has materialized at the most fundamental level has served me with one of the most yearned for occupations, connecting the hidden of the subliminal plane to the obvious of the observed universe, delineating the structure of an all-encompassing space-time in which the cosmic arena, the quantum world, and the aware elements all reside agreeably